We are back once again, and for our next series, we're going to throw back to a matchup we've seen time and time again. It's the battle for Latin America here, Wes. We've got the two best Latin American teams going up against each other. We got Just Latam going up against Fire and Ice. They have gone back and forth before in series. Typically, Just Latam leads, and they've got a very, very strong roster to go with that. They've got Tapping, Atso, Drift, and Pelu, and of course on Fire and Ice, you've got Noble running Joanne this time. And one more who has yet to join the lobby. We'll see who that is when he gets there. But you can't really you can't sleep on anyone on Fire and Ice, despite how dominant we've seen Just Latam be in the past weeks.
Yeah, I think Just Latam is kind of the number one team, obviously, in the Latin American scene. I think Fire and Ice is right behind them. They're very competitive, but I'd have to give the edge to Just Latam. In just about every series. I mean, the upset's possible, but if Latam does what they're supposed to, I think that they come out on top every time.
Right.
But this is going to be a great series, right? I think that they're always so competitive when these two teams face off because they are fighting for that number one spot in the LATAM scene. And even though they're in a bigger they're in a world tournament now with legends and whatnot. And all these North American teams that are in the tournament, it's still that rivalry that you have. This is probably the one team that each one of these teams wants to make sure that they don't lose to or that they beat in a sense.
Sure.
So great that they match up in our bracket because that always won't happen. And because of it, it adds a little extra spice to this series.
Yeah, should be a good matchup for sure. The last player to join Fire and Ice was Bullet, so he's now joined the lobby. We are getting this loaded up and ready to go. It's going to be Strongholds on the rig for our first series here, and we'll find out who's going to take it. Now, Just Latam, we've seen them win these previously, though in the winner's side of the bracket, we did have a week where Fire and Ice took them down, brought Just Latam over to losers. So if we get that type of Fire and Ice energy today, we can see an interesting turn of events. We'll find out, of course. We got the rail to fight for. We got the camo as well. And we'll see who takes control of these vital assets on the map, especially the shoddy, as we get started here.
Yeah, like I said, it's very possible. Just not probable.
Sure.
Going to be spawning on the inside of the map. We have Fire and Ice. We're going to be on board with Noble here. He's actually going to not opt to go towards the camo. And because of it, Tapping Buttons is going to get a free kill onto him. And we see another player for Fire and Ice kind of stuck in the back rafters here as Atso has him pinned down. Atso knows he has the scatter shot, and he's actually going to be able to fly at Atso with a beautiful grenade scatter shot combo, take down that kill. So actually good trades all around from Fire and Ice so far early on, especially after losing first blood. And because of it, they have the first points on the board.
They do, but I saw a quick 3 dead right there. Going to be taking back some captures. Last player up, Noble, does have the rail, so he might be able to turn this one around. He starts with Drift. Good shot from him. Player joined the lobby. Hopefully that player isn't somebody trying to join the game here, but we'll see if that bothers us. Either way, Atso going to continue to hold it down from up on Engine here. You can see his teammates capping basement, so doing a good job there as he makes his way over to Nest. Nice little turnaround they can make here.
Yeah, beautiful job by Just Latam to kind of flip this game on its head already in this early on. They have Nest control, which is the hardest to get. I wasn't sure if they were going to be able to get that as I was speaking, but clutched it up. They are going to end it. Yep. And I felt like that was going to be the inevitable, so I didn't want to talk about the game too much. Another player joining, another issue. You guys got to stop doing this out there. We're trying to watch the tournament gameplay.
Maybe, but it looks like it was Push, by the way, who is our producer. Oh. So I don't know if Push is jumping in here midway through. They're swapping him out with our other producer.
We're sabotaging ourselves at this point.
Either way, we're going to get this back underway.
There's an imposter among us.
It seems like it. We're going to have to find out who he is and shut him down. I think that was a pretty even game, though, right? Last I checked, it was 7-7. It was just started, so
fairly even.
That was fairly even. Let's run it right back and see how it works out next time. And I wonder if anybody's taking notes on the starting strat. I'm sure they're just kind of go in and see who wins at this time. 30 seconds into the game, by the way, and nobody picked up rail. So it was an interesting start there. We had a brawl to go down, got the first round of slays before anybody actually grabbed rail. So I wonder if that changes this time around, if we get an instant strat over to it. Either way, we're running it back. We've got Rig Strongholds starting right back up here, and let's see how it goes this time.
I can promise you Noble won't do the same thing he did last time after getting basically just double meleeed from an unsuspecting player. I would be shocked to see if Noble doesn't change up his route just a little bit. So we're going to hop on board with Noble again. It's going to go in the same direction, but doesn't actually gets the hit markers with those nades, gets some great damage down to Pelu, and because he takes the top route this time around, he's actually able to impact the inside of the map so much more than tapping is. And because of it, his team kind of won that battle for the inside from what it looks like.
So far, so good for Noble, I'd say. The rail is still up, so nobody wanted to go for it right away. They're going to opt to get these captures. Noble does back down to nest here, so this is good use of his positioning. You can see Pelu up on E3 gets melted by those teammates pushing up through the long haul there. But Gish actually has camo. That's Drift right there, who was being sneaky. He got deleted by the rail. Running's got it, so the early pressure here from Fire and Ice.
Beautiful so far, right? And Running now with the railgun in hand is going to actually eat a nade, and because of that, he's no longer going to have the railgun for his team. You see Poppy trying to go for it from Pelu's screen. He's not going to be able to actually make his way to it as well. But Pelu, with a little bit of an overextension there, loses the one-on-one with the player back carbine, and because of it, Tapping finds himself with rail and a big kill before he goes down. That's actually a double for Tapping. Beautiful job by Tapping to end up with 2 there in a tough situation.
Tapping looked like a monkey out there, just managing to live getting that kill. That shot he did transfer hands over to Noble, though, so he might be a nuisance with it if we do get to see him. In the meantime, Bullet does get the reset on Nest, so good work there. They got 17 points and counting as they try to hold it down. There's that shotty I talked about. Noble blasted 1 for a kill. Drift does make the rotation to Nest here, so they should be successful in grabbing this, and he's got a rail for his troubles. Nice kill from him, as that's 3 on the board and a push to basement.
Beautiful. Beautiful job by Latam to make sure that this doesn't get out of control early on in this series. They're going to be able to stop the bleeding and potentially get a trip cap. I know they're going to have to force a little bit of pressure on the bunker, but it does look like they pick up a double in the kill feed. But another very easy kill given over to Fire and Ice is going to stop this trip cap from being able to be too successful. Yes, if you're just Latam, you got back in the game. You're no longer down 20-1. But you would have liked to see that manifest into a little bit more with the opportunity that I saw coming out.
This could be a big turning point, though. You could see, despite the easy slays that have kind of been going down on the side of Latam, they've held on to the time. They've got 21, 22 now counting. And Pelu's got the camo, he's got the shotty, which is a deadly combination, though somehow he doesn't get the opportunity to use that shotgun, so that goes down. Drift, in the meantime, still has rails, so they're really abusing the resources on this map, though they're losing them quite easily. Holding on to the captures in the meantime, though, Tapping with a trade. That player on Fire and Ice does the extension over to Nest, and Joanne just being pelted here, but he's still putting in work with that rail. So you got to love them fighting back, but they got to get captures. You can see them starting to lose, that lead that they once had.
Yeah, absolutely, and every second that ticks in their favor is going to be an issue. But Latam stops the bleeding. 34-21, they start scoring in their favor. They have the scatter shot information on 2 of these players. Unfortunately, they're going to lose that scatter shot in that, so a little bit of another overextension. You see a lot of that early on so far today, I feel like. It's players that don't really have a great bearings for the exact situation that they might be in.
What?
Trying to get behind these barrels to dodge nades, and because he chooses to try that, he's going to actually be a very, very easy kill for Fire and Ice to pick up. They pick up the return or the reset on the stronghold as well, and that is a great job by Fire and Ice to start this comeback that they now have to manifest. 41-26, but they are scoring.
For a second, I thought he saved himself from a railgun by pushing the box in front of himself there, because he wasn't fully dead just yet, but it didn't work out. We've seen players go for that before, though it kind of wastes time sometimes if you're getting pelted off spawn. Look at this bunker spawn here. They can't seem to move forward because Fire and Ice putting in so much pressure. Noble aware of the fact that they're spawning up Carbine, and he's got the rail as well, so this could just add insult to injury as he makes his wrap here. We'll see if he can get some nice damage in. First shot goes in. That's Pelu down. Multiple players still out in the basement. Bullet picks up 1. Going to keep Drift away from that camo, which they're going to want to pick up. That's a spree for Noble. Going to keep his eye on the camo here as Tapping comes in with the pressure. Does he get this? He does. Big trade right there. And the points in the favor of Fire and Ice. They fight right back. They get map control and probably the camo as well.
Yeah, and if they're able to get reset here in basement, that would be huge. He misses the stick, does buy some time, but not enough to get the reset. But the rest of the team is going to be there to collapse and recapture that. You saw 3 members immediately jump into it. Johan is going to lose his life to Tapping, but they were able to get BR. They're going to have to give up basement here for a second due to those few deaths, but as long as they're able to continue to control Nest, Fire and Ice is going to continue to build their lead.
Just Latam doing a great job getting slays, though. They got 2 so far, so this should give them easy access to nest. You can see the other players on blue there just going to opt to play it slow. They know they don't have teammates. Going to try to hold down top tower. Atso trying to get some sort of angle in here, but you can see he takes shots and nades from multiple sides, so he's out. Bullet, in the meantime, nice little ground bounce to hit that player on the bat ledge here, finishing off tapping buttons. That was some textbook stuff. He should hopefully be able to get nest. You can see the nades coming in. Latam just doing everything they can to stop this from happening. There's the flanking from Pelu. That's huge, but not enough. Fire and Ice will hold on just a little longer here.
Right, and Latam looks like they're going to be able to try and push for nests here. Nobody in Fire and Ice, due to the observer mode, really in position to stop this from going on. They might overextend towards basement. 2 players do hop up in the window, though. Great shots by them. That's actually all 4 dead. So you get the transfer if you're a Just Latam fan, but it costed everything. All of your resources, all of your team's players, and because of it, they're going to be on respawn here over towards bunker, and getting BR base is going to be so difficult for Just Latam, and with that, you see the points continuing to climb in Fire and Ice's favor.
Fire and Ice not letting up the pressure here. They get a trip cap. We got new spawners who have to fly to basement, but they can't get the railgun. That's going to be in the hands of Fire and Ice as well. As Joan, who has it, he's already flying into basement looking for blood here. He gets 1. Shots into Atso as well, who's going to try to be a hard kill, but that's a trade. They still have the basement. That basement is not enough to stop these points from trickling in the favor of Fire and Ice here. Bullet with the rotation, still going to keep that pressure up. I believe Drift might have picked up that rail. Is it enough, though? They're trying to get to nest in the meantime here, but Latam got to put the Nikes on. Tapping, though. He's got a camo. Maybe he can turn this around.
Yeah, I was wondering where the camo was this entire time. And thank you, Observer, for switching it over to tapping. He's going to have to make a huge play with this camo if he wants the team to win. And that is not a huge play. He actually just goes 1 for 1. Does get damage done to a second player, but that's not going to be enough. 91 to 53. You needed to make the game-changing play that got your team a trip cap. Unfortunately, tapping doesn't find the opening. We see scoring continuing in Fire and Ice's favor. 2 players need a railgun shot. One of them goes down. The other one's no shield. Beautiful job by Noble, and now they're going to look to press basement, or BR base, but it doesn't really matter. This game's already over, baby. Fire and Ice takes game 1.
Fire and Ice starting out so strong here, looking like the better team to kick off our series, which you love to see because we know how strong Just Latam are, and we know how hard they're going to fight to come back in this series, as we get into our next game, which I would guess is Truth. In the meantime, though, let's read them and weep with the scores because Fire and Ice, my God, slays across the board here. You got 13 out of Bullet, 15 from Running, 14 in Noble, and 19 from Joan, who I know had that railgun a couple times. I can see he's got a triple as well on his medals there. So great stuff coming out of Fire and Ice. Just Latam, I mean, we know they're talented players, but so far, I mean, Atso, Pelu, kind of struggling in the slays department. You can see they got 17 deaths as well. So they're going to have to ice up, really bring it back for Truth.
Absolutely. And you can tell that Fire and Ice is not intimidated at all when they're playing against this Latam team. They've played them so much. They have so much experience scrimming against this team, competing against this team throughout years and years of practice that they're comfortable playing against these guys, even though that they're probably higher like ELO rated players throughout their history and their experience in gaming or in competitive Halo. They're not intimidated, and they kept the pressure on the entire time. Felt like so much of that game was just them trying to fight for the one stronghold that they already controlled, while we saw Fire and Ice looking to press the 3 cap or threatening the 3 cap at all times. It's a beautiful job. It's textbook strongholds. Love what I see out of them, and I'm hoping we see something similar in game 2.
Yeah, and such great timing for their inside map control as well. When they fly into to BR base, collapse on BR base, get those slays, it was the same timing. The rail, the camo was coming up, so they get these free rail guns for their troubles. Camo was picked up from Just Latam, but they didn't quite make the plays they needed to really turn the game around. We saw Tapping go out with a trade there, so hopefully they can change that coming up into Truth Slayer, because we got the camo to fight for, we got the combo as well. If somebody can make a big play with that camo, especially out of the opening, that could set one hell of a momentum string for the team. So we'll find out, of course. We've got Truth starting up here. Wes, I'll let you take it away.
Yeah. Truth starting up. We got camo on the map. We know that it's the most important thing at the start of every game. Right. On Truth, there's not going to be really a power weapon for anybody to consist of and for people to focus on at the start. So this battle for camo is going to be big. If you're a Just Latam fan, you need to see them turn these power-ups into place, because we saw multiple times they got power-ups last game and weren't able to really do anything with them. They could not find the openings they needed. That luck has to change if you want to take this to a game 3.
Well, what will Fire and Ice, Latam do this time? They'll start with the camo. This is exactly what we talked about. And Atso's got it. So Atso, with some nice moves here from P1, he does manage to escape. You can see 3 players in blue already on the defense here. And Atso going to try to make this play. He's doing a great job to get damage, but somebody who spawned up in the back has put damage into him. Despite that, Just Latam doing a great job getting their 3 kills. They can see that last remaining player over in red. Player spawning up in red once again. So Just Latam, they're starting that spawn collapse into the bases here. Atso in the back putting in some great damage as well. He's got Noble in front of him, going to try to keep this energy up. But Noble with a hot 5 to take him down. Still, the damage is done to start. 9-4, 10-4 to kick off the game.
Beautiful start from Just Latam. And if you thought this team was going to roll over against their their nation's rivals, you're going to be wrong, right? Just Latam is veterans. They're going to show up. They might have gotten upset in the first game, but you know that they're going to come to play. And they started off very well, but as I say all of that, Noble actually on a killing spree, going to make this deficit almost non-existent right now. It's just down to 2 in favor of Just Latam, but a beautiful job by Noble to somehow rebound after a very, very rough start and keep his team in this game. Just now 11-12 as he's able to thrust away from those grenades for quite a while before eventually getting taken down.
Yeah, great work taking down Noble there because he was looking like a laser. I think he's got at least 3 5s to start the game already, so he's looking nasty. Bullet going to try to keep that pressure up here on pink, but he's under a lot of pressure from those players on red as they push up through, tapping off his spawn. Nice shots from him to help out the team, but a player going to fly through red, try to cut him off. Still an even game, though. New camo coming up. Pink side control in the favor of Fire and Ice. They're going to look to hold that down so they can get that camo. Tapping in the meantime, he's going to try to make the rotation, but we'll see what he can do to stop this control because they got 3 players just manned up here ready for the camo.
Yeah, they're going to have to break a complete pink setup from what it looks like from Fire and Ice. All of Fire and Ice is pink, and they don't expect someone to be pink 3. And because of it, they pick up a bunch of unanswered kills, and with that, they pair it with a camo.
Great answer back from Fire and Ice. It's all going to depend on running in the plays that he makes here. He's got his teammates with him as well to work with, so just got to play around him. That nade, a little unfortunate. That was a team nade to expose him, but he's okay so far. Drift trapped in the bubble right now. Going to try to play from there. Johan gets the kill, so that's 2 right there to extend the lead to 22-19. Running right now as he makes his way up bubble. Some nice shots into Atso here. He's just playing from the back. He's getting the info that he needs to. His teammates push up, they collapse, they get the kills, and this ensures they keep their lead. It's looking great from Fire and Ice here.
Beautiful from Fire and Ice. I mean, can we imagine this to be the score when we saw it was 10-2 at one point? Right. Absolutely insane from Fire and Ice to regain control, get a grip on the game, and fight back. To not only fight back, but to build yourself a nice, comfortable 5-kill lead as they look to push pink. Drift's going to get caught off guard once again, make it a 7-kill lead. Tapping buttons, for some reason, is found bottom middle. And with that, 8 kills. This Fire and Ice team is clicking on all cylinders. Just Latam looks like they're playing on their heels once again, and because of it, we're going to see Fire and Ice take this series to 0 at this pace.
Yeah, I mean, an 8-kill lead and climbing here. Tapping tries to make his way to pink. But Running still holding it down. You can see they're rotating through car side to try to collapse onto red here. Beautiful shots from Running, by the way. Pelu just gets deleted. Drift right now in a lot of trouble. He does get a trade. But just a trade is not enough here. Atso just walking out front base. He's got no choice to try to get out. Fire and Ice, they're on one right now. West, they're looking unstoppable.
They're absolutely playing out of their mind right now. This is the Fire and Ice team that can really upset just about anybody. They've made top 4 before. They've made top 5 in some of these bigger tournaments with the HCS, with every team in the world. And so this Fire and Ice team can play with the best of them when they are playing well, and it looks like today they've brought their A game.
And it's unfortunate that they don't get that camo, though. You can see they did have that pink side control for Just Latam, but nobody in position to pick up camo. Instead, Bullet's got it. Noble gets the kill from behind. Big deletion on camo from tapping buttons, though he does stop that from being, real bad before it gets there. But still, it's an 8-kill deficit for Latam. They got to climb back from. Gish Drift is trapped in a horrible spot here. Tapping now alone for a 2v1. I take that back. He's got Atso who flies in and dies instantly. Not a good look for Tapping here either, but he's putting in some nice shots to live up. Beautiful kill, but it's still 42-31, and the pressure and map control on from Fire and Ice here.
I just don't know a way that Latam can come back in this game. They feel like they've always been trapped. They've never had control. There hasn't been a power-up story that's worked out in their favor. They're trying to push Pink here. He's able to pick up one, but even Drift can't get that double, and because of it, these trades are just amounting to an absolute loss. 47 to 33. They're not even trades in a sense. Fire and Ice is actually winning every single team fight, it feels like, by a large margin. I mean, this is an absolute showcase of how good Fire and Ice can be when they are playing well. Latam, you need to get out of the hole that you're hiding in when you go into loser's bracket, because you are not going to be able to advance to loser's bracket playing like this.
It's a surprisingly dominant performance coming out of Fire and Ice here as they look to close it out with the last kill. Running gets it with a nade. 50 to 37 for game 2. That's going to send Just Latam into the losers bracket. They got a lot of fighting to do if they want to come back in this tournament at this point. Fire and Ice, not only taking that confidently, just looking like the better team overall. Noble, 17-7 out of this guy. 2,140 damage, so he led the lobby here for sure. Running with some great damage as well, despite the lower slays. But man, Fire and Ice, they're looking different today.
Yeah, Noble playing extremely well all series. Really having the best series I think I've ever seen him have, and that's exciting because he's putting in a lot of work. He's consistently competing in these tournaments, and you love to see the progression of players and just them continue to improve up that mountain that is the tier list of Halo players and pro teams. So Fire and Ice looking like they have a real opportunity here to make a statement and potentially compete with some of the best teams in the world in this tournament.
Yeah, and I think this is a kind of a nice way to see things. It's a different turn of events from what we're used to. We're used to having Just Latam being the more dominant squad. Fire and Ice putting themselves confidently in winner's side here and throwing Latam into losers. Latam, as talented as they are, now they got to turn it on. Now they got to fight back. Now they got to show us what we know they're capable of. So we'll see if Just Latam turn it on. We come back to the loser side of the bracket, but they'll be battling. In the meantime, we're going to focus on winners. We're going to continue with winner's side of the bracket. Before we do that, by the way, make sure to type !giveaway in the chat. We do giveaways every single week here. This time we're giving away some Monster. I believe we also have a backpack to go with that. It's a Monster